This is ZEISS Presents Full Exposure, the weekly resource for news, trends, and the people who influence the world of photography and cinematography. Hosted by veteran photographer and filmmaker Jim Kamp.
On episode 44, we spoke with Katrina Medoff and Tracy Sayre, co-founders of the Women's Weekend Film Challenge, and got a crash course in how a great idea blossoms into launching a collaborative film project. The Film Challenge is a women in film initiative that's less a contest and more a hybrid networking and creative event that places professional filmmakers on crews that write, shoot, and edit a short film in just one weekend. WWFC has produced 24 films with over 500 professional female filmmakers in New York City. To date, some of the films have been selected for 60 film festivals and counting. The project has grown rapidly, and Katrina and Tracy will be launching the Film Challenge in Los Angeles in 2020.
Get up.
I thought you said you were a detective. I am, but I'm not a psychic.
So we're both in the independent film world, me as an actor, writer, and producer, and her as a screenwriter and producer. And we were realizing how many women were getting to a place in their careers where they were stagnant or not quite getting to the next step, despite being super, super talented. And one day I had this idea, what if we put together teams of women in every single role of production that would make a film in just one weekend? And I put that idea on Facebook to see who would even be interested in that.
And I was on Facebook. I was already friends with Katrina. We had hung out a few times. And I was on Facebook and I saw her post and I followed it because I was like, oh, that's an interesting idea. And then in 10 hours, 300 women replied that they were dying for something like this. And it was all comments like, I've been a director for 10 years and I've never been on a crew with all women. Or like a cinematographer was like, oh my God, I didn't even know there were female composers and ADs out there. I'd love to work with women on a crew. So I called up Katrina and I was like, I want to help out. And
yeah, I said, absolutely. She has all this experience planning conferences and events. So it was just absolutely a perfect partnership and has worked out so well.
So that was end of November when she first posted that idea. 2017. And we decided to just capitalize on that momentum. Mm-hmm. So we hosted our first challenge 2 months later. And that meant all throughout Christmas and the New Year's, we were just emailing each other back and forth, trying to figure out like what we would ask on an application, what people would actually need on a crew without any resources, how we can pool our pre-existing resources to make a film together.
Yeah, it was a super scrappy first challenge because we were pulling from the applications. We were saying, what equipment do you have? And if there was a cinematographer who didn't have equipment, we would put her with a director who did. Or if there was a woman in sound who didn't have the sound equipment she needed, maybe a producer had that and we could put them on a crew together. We were making sure all of the teams had a couple cars, that they all had a couple locations they could use, things like that. And as we've grown, we've just provided more and more for our teams. So we started providing production insurance for the second challenge.
Yeah. Well, after the first challenge, we gave surveys to everyone. Mm-hmm. And by and large, everyone said that they needed production insurance because they were bringing their own equipment in. They couldn't rent anything that they really wanted to work with without that insurance. So from that point, we're like, okay, we need to fundraise the $6,000 to get the insurance, which means we need to start a nonprofit or an LLC to get this money. So we spent like the next 8 months starting the organizational foundation for this, just to raise the money for the insurance.
And we added a lot of other things for that second challenge. We started doing giving production stipends. So they're very small stipends, but enough for some of the teams to really cover things like transportation or props or anything. We didn't want people having out-of-pocket expenses. This is all free for participants to apply, to participate in, because we know that there are just so many financial barriers already for women in film, and we don't want to be adding another financial barrier. We want to be taking that away.
Yeah. After the second challenge, we realized that the other thing that women need is access to really high-end equipment, because Katrina had listened to a podcast.
Yeah, I saw this documentary. I think it was in Half the Picture. There was this one woman, I think a director, who was saying she was looking at all of these reels from cinematographers, and she was saying, why are the men's reels often better than the women's reels? And then she discovered it was because, not that they were less talented, but because the women often had less access to that high-end equipment. So they were doing everything with like one lamp that they put something, they were doing something really scrappy and making amazing work from it.
Mm-hmm.
But
they had the vision, but not the tools.
They weren't getting hired on like high budget enough projects in order to have the same level of reel. So yeah, we started working with amazing equipment sponsors, including ZEISS, which provided the lenses for that challenge. And yeah.
It sounds like an utter full-time job.
It is. It is.
How do you, I'm assuming, I think I know, that you did not know what you were getting into when you started doing this, right?
Yeah.
So talk a little about what that was like. Just that when you have an idea for something and you launch it, you might be better off not knowing what's lying in front of you, because then you might not.
Yeah, we were blissfully naive, but also fearless.
Yes. I think when I originally had this idea, it was like, well, why couldn't someone just there are all these women who want to work more and they're all really talented. Why couldn't someone just stick them together? And then and then it very quickly we realized, okay, well, we also need to train the team leaders so that they really know how to lead this full team of 25 to 30 women to success. And we have pretty extensive training program for them. We just keep adding things. We do a workshop with the equipment. We do a film festival submission workshop so that they really learn how to submit films to festivals effectively if they hadn't done that. Yeah. And actually ZEISS provided the film festival submission stipends for the teams so that they had a budget to submit. And we just kept snowballing. And we were absolutely blissfully unaware of what a full-time job it would be when we started this.
Yeah, when I first asked Katrina if I could help with this, I was 3 months pregnant, and I was figuring like, oh, well, I'm going to take maternity leave eventually, and so I can just like help her while I'm breastfeeding all day long. And I really thought that this would just be like a casual thing I could like help out with, but it was just like we were both so passionate about it, and just seeing after the first challenge, it was like, wow, people really need this, and there's just like no limits to this, and so it's just all we want to do. And when I was in labor, I was texting her about I was like, what about that cinematographer you met at this event? And
P.S. I'm in labor. And I was like, put your phone down. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. And we started working on this 5 days after she was born. We were taking turns holding her and email. Like, I've learned how to email with one hand very well. But it's a part of us now. It's like breathing at this point. And so we can't imagine doing anything else.
So I guess we never talked about what the actual challenge weekend looks like, which is that Thursday night at 6 p.m., we're on Facebook Live and we pull a different genre out of the hat for each team. So one team might get rom-com, another team might get dystopian. She really wants a team to get Western. Maybe that'll happen when we launch in LA. And then we give them a prop that they all have to work with, and then they get to work that night. So the writers are really writing late into the night, Thursday night, Friday morning, and then they start shooting Friday, Saturday, doing a lot of the post-production work on Sunday, and they have to submit the final film to us by 11:59 p.m. that Sunday night.
No one comes into this with a script. So before all this happens, this weekend challenge, about a month earlier, we open applications, and the application process, like Katrina said, is absolutely free. It's absolutely free to participate. We ask questions like, why do you want to participate in this? We ask for reels, experience, and what your ideal job is on set. And we've changed that application a little bit over time. Originally, we asked people to rank what jobs they wanted to do. So they would say, I would like to be, my first choice is writer, second choice director, third choice actor, fourth choice sound. And
I don't think that's ever happened where we've had director, writer, actor who also does sound.
Yeah, sometimes.
One day, maybe.
And so we would look at all the applications and we'd say like, okay, well, this person, we're not in love with their writing sample, but we see that they have like, they're a fantastic actor. Let's place them on the crew as an actor. So every crew has 2 writers, a director, 2 associate producers, a team leader who's the producer,
and everything.
A sound mixer, sound boom mob, gaffer, grip, 2 PAs. And we've gone back and forth about how many actors, but I think we're going to stick with 2 actors in the future. So the crews end up being about 30 women in total. And once we send out notifications of role assignments, then we have an orientation for the team leaders, telling them how to run how to run a crew like this, where they haven't picked everyone out. They're not in charge of they don't even know what the genre is going to be.
We host pre-production meetings for all of the teams. So in these pre-production meetings, again, they don't know, they might know who the actors are, but they don't know what genre they're even going to do. So they talk about, well, I have a rooftop on my apartment that we could use, and you used to work at this cafe that might let us shoot there. So these are the places that we could maybe shoot and things like that. They're figuring out in advance. Mm-hmm. We do an equipment workshop so that they can.
And that pre-production meeting's like a week before the challenge starts.
Yeah.
Then we have the equipment training, and then a challenge begins.
Yeah.
What about the whole festival aspect? What did you guys know about that going in, and how did you handle helping everybody, all the people in the challenge?
In terms of the festivals, we've each had films that we've worked on that we've submitted to festivals ourselves. So we had that experience on our end, and a lot of our participants have that experience as well. But we do a festival submission workshop so that everyone can kind of get on the same page. We share some tips, especially because it's an expensive process, and there's still limited budget for that. And we want people to be submitting to things that they have a really great chance of getting into. And we've had a lot of success so far.
Our 24 short films have gotten into over 60 film festivals so far, and they've won awards. We realized that the biggest struggle from the last challenge was that it was just too expensive to submit to all these festivals. And we did a lot of work getting waiver codes from different festivals. But some, like a crew that did a horror film, we weren't able to get a waiver for a festival that was specifically for horror films. And so they had to cough up that money. And we didn't want people using their personal funds for this. So we really worked hard to get stipends for our crew members so that no one had to bear that financial burden.
We're launching in LA early 2020. And we're very excited about that.
And nervous. Very nervous.
Because
I'm a little more nervous than you are, but
we'll have to be out there for a while. We have this really huge network, amazing network here in New York. And so we'll be starting from scratch in LA. We don't know if we're going to get 1,000 director submissions and 0 gaffers. We just have no idea what that applicant list will look like.
But any other differences? The date? Can we give the date?
I don't want to give the date.
Okay, we're
yet.
not going to give the date, but it's going to be in early 2020.
I think to any LA filmmakers who are thinking that this is something they might want to do, if they want to meet an entire new network, if they want to grow their network instantly, have a pretty intense weekend where they accomplish a lot and get to see the fruits of their labor a week and a half later, if they want to have people that they work with moving forward, then this is the right thing for you.
I think that's great. That's a great pitch. If you can't come to one of our screenings and you want to see the films, you should definitely follow our Instagram at Women's Weekend Film Challenge. We post about all the festivals that our films have gotten into, so you can see them one by one. And then you can go to our website to just see a sizzle reel of all the films spliced together. But yeah, that's the best way.
And the best thing to do if you are an LA filmmaker who wants to get involved in this is to go to our website, womensweekendfilmchallenge.com, scroll down on our homepage to our email list sign up, and you can check off LA, and then you'll be notified first thing when applications are open.
What do you get when you combine over 125 years of camera lens heritage and the latest in autofocus technology? The ZEISS Bodice. Engineered exclusively for Sony mirrorless full-frame sensor cameras, the ZEISS Bodice delivers perfect corner-to-corner image quality. With enhanced protection against the elements, the ZEISS Bodice is built to help you push past life's obstacles. ZEISS Bodice, the perfect lens for wherever your passion leads you.
Thanks for tuning in. Join us next time for another edition of ZEISS Full Exposure. If you can't watch, you can always catch the audio-only version on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at ZEISS_Full Exposure or on the web at ZEISSFullExposure.com. And to learn more about the latest in ZEISS lenses, head to ZEISS.com.